What are some unsaid first date rules everyone should know? Put your damned phone down. Don't be afraid of awkward silences. And don't overthink. Be interested in what the other has to say. No short-worded answers. Be on time. Be into her, him more than yourself, i.e., don't overtalk about yourself. Don't talk about your ex, don't look at your phone, ask open-ended questions, don't complain too much. Edit. I'm going to elaborate on a couple of these because a couple of comments are coming up repeatedly. Don't talk about your ex. If it's just a 1-minute summary, that's fine. There are a couple of issues I can see with a prolonged conversion. It can end up being a therapy session where we just end up unpacking all your relationship baggage, which I may not have the emotional energy for. And it's not what I'm looking for on a first date. Those conversations can happen later. It's easy to start complaining about your ex or speaking badly about them. And that can be also very off-putting. If you talk about them badly to a random stranger, are you also going to be talking about me? The opposite is also true. Any man who is careful with his words regarding his ex, and who does his best to speak respectfully of them, is a big sign of maturity for me and makes him a lot more attractive. Don't look at your phone. For anyone that wants to update a friend with how it's going for safety, there's obvious times when there's natural breaks. Like if someone gets up to go to the bathroom, etc., where sending a quick update is fine. And I will head off to the bathroom for a bathroom break if I'm feeling like I really need to send an update on how things are going. Open-ended questions. Consider the difference between, do you like pizza? Yes, no. Or what's your favorite food and why? They can answer any number of foods. For any reason, the first question causes the conversation to end because the answer is simply yes or no. You either need to ask a follow-up question or they need to ask you the same one back. The open-ended question gives them an opportunity to talk more about what they like and why. And it allows you to bounce off each other. Both of them should know it's a date before the date begins. Don't ask if they've been to prison, even as a joke, unless you're truly ready for the answer. In my case, she was out on bail awaiting trial. If you've met online, don't pressure the person too much with your expectations. God damn it. It's basically a stranger. You don't need to end up in a relationship with that person. Get to know them as a human being at first, without any exact ideas of the type of your potential future relationship. Don't trauma dump. I promise you this person doesn't want to hear about your ex. I think that the first rule on your first date is, no isloading, meaning, don't take her on a hike in the woods for a first date, you serial killer. No murdering. You should listen, at least, as much as you speak. If you're 30 minutes into the date and you don't know anything about them, it's time to shift the focus of the conversation towards them. Just be honest sounds simple. Many seem to have a problem with this one. If you can't or don't want to show up, let the other person know well in advance. Don't be a ghoster. Be yourself. If you are hungry, eat. Please look like the photo you sent. Don't show up looking like you just rolled out of bed. Unless you've confirmed it's a one-night stand. Maybe don't suggest Netflix and chill or other variants as the first date. Man or woman, don't go over to someone's house if you don't know them. I had a dude pull this with me like, oh, I'm really more of a stay-at-home and watch movies type of guy, when I invited him out for coffee, dinner, anything. And 1, it came off as, okay, this guy is just interested in sex, and 2, I'm not going over to any stranger's house regardless of how well we clicked beforehand. Come on now. I tried again to ask for a public date spot. He insisted on me coming over. And that was the end of it. When I said no thank you, I got a bunch of increasingly confused and then desperate texts. Like, dude, if I didn't think you were a serial killer before, I definitely do after the 5th, we could have really hit it off. Don't be so guarded. Text 1. Don't make a big deal out of it. It's for coffee, lunch or cocktails and that's it. Point 2. In sales, the purpose of the first meeting is to get the second meeting. Likewise, the purpose in first dates is to get the second date. You're not there to bang. You're there to establish mutual interest. 3. You're not on a job interview. You're there to learn about the other person. That means being more interested in learning about her, him than talking about yourself. Open-ended questions are really good for that. Not the job or college major or anything like that, but rather what that person is interested in when it comes to life. What is that person passionate about? 4. If things are clicking on all cylinders, if and only if all the buy signals are there, then suggest extending the date to a casual dinner or something low-key like walking in the park or something fun. Guys in particular, do not take her to a fancy white linen place on the first date. That's the sign of a full court press. Point 5. No matter how well things are going, don't make the beast with two backs. I don't care if this is the perfect person. Instead, your goal here is to establish mutual trust. If you're trying really hard to plant your flag, or whatever metaphor you care for here, it kind of gets in the way of that. Plus, crazy sometimes takes a few dates to manifest itself. What's worse? I know any number of guys who did the humpalumpadding-dong with some girl early on and wound up writing a lot of child support checks. Be a little selective about who rides your baloney pony. And that takes time. Point 6. No distractions. Put the phone down. If you see someone else you know, introduce your date right away and tell your acquaintance some interesting things about your date. No one likes being the third wheel in someone else's conversation. Manners count for a lot. Then turn your attention back to your date. Point 7. The entire point of the first date is to have fun and see if that person is good to hang with. That's it. You're not negotiating arms reductions. 8. This is especially true if your first date with someone entails hanging with his or her friends. Then make friends with his or her friends. Nothing is worse when you're at a party or gathering or some such and your date, this person you barely know, is tethered to you like a damned boat anchor. Be your own person. Likewise, just like number 6, introduce your date around to everybody. Give that person a fighting chance. Point 9. Finally, it's a numbers game. You might have to go through a lot of meh dates before you meet the perfect person. But that doesn't mean you just blow off someone with whom you don't have chemistry. To that point, I had a lunch date with someone with whom I didn't really connect, as in 30 seconds in, but I still put effort into getting to know her and have a great conversation. 2 weeks later, she invited me to a party she was throwing. It was there that I met my wife. There you go, your foolproof first date guide. For the love of God, don't insist on driving her anywhere if she says no. If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.